Sean, could you address a number of issues around the tools?
Yeah, let me take the 17 last questions. There was
there's
a few there, wasn't there? Okay, so I think excellent point. My sense at the moment is that there's a huge amount of people that really desire more skills training. So trying to sort of supply or fulfill that demand, we're trying to use technology to do that. But I think what we're also trying to do is to link that to a certification process. So it's not just the learning, it's I'm getting a certification by doing this. When projects change or ideas change and new investors come in, to me, if the local communities or the local labor force, if they're certified by one group, then they can transition to another group or whoever is going to employ them. I think there's a lot of opportunity for, again, building these core curriculums, getting people certified, and allowing them to take on those tasks. What we are doing is following very much along with the microfinance groups. Rather than hiring staff to go and do things, we're now working to a fee-for-service model where we provide training to local volunteers or entrepreneurs. They then learn that skill, they become certified, and they become part of the local community network of service providers. So that's a bit of a transition in how we're doing things, but it's fee-for-service, it's maintained into the future. People are certified, it's quite a different approach, but I think that has a lot of merit in doing that. And to my friend from the Caribbean, brilliant question, always very difficult, how are we going to answer that question? I think one of the things with this resilience process is that we're trying to build designs of investments that allow people to co-plan much more effectively, but also to co-invest. Now, I think that should be one of the key metrics in how effective the work that we're doing is. And that really provides the opportunities for farmer organizations to come into a process, not where they are a recipient of investments, but where they are co-investing. And they will only co-invest in things that they know are towards their best interests. So rather than accepting something which is free, and why not accept something which is free, it's a very different prospect to when you say, I will invest with you, but let's make sure that what we're investing in is going to get us the best possible return we can get. And that is the sort of thing that people like yourself should be really advocating for to the investors, whether they're private sector or public sector, to make sure that your voice is heard, that you are co-investing, and people see that it's worthwhile to reinvest in those kind of processes. Not an adequate answer because it's a tricky question, but I really think there's opportunities there with this new thinking.
All right, well, maybe Cornel and
a couple of things. Just to our friend in the Caribbean there, we certainly held a hunger conference, I know, a number of years ago in Dublin, and we had the same issue. You felt it was the same group of people talking to each other, technical specialists. And very interestingly, Mary Robinson, the Climate Justice Foundation, last year held a conference in Dublin. And she very specifically had one day dedicated to poor people coming to represent themselves. And it was a really good design, but it took a huge amount of effort. But it can be done, and I think that's an important message to bring. Just a couple of things on capacity. I mean, the one you're talking about, the trade-off between now and long term. I mean, I think, to me, assessment tools are really helpful in relation to that. People can prioritise what they think they need now, then they repeat those assessment tools, they start looking at the longer term skills they need over a longer period of time. And I think I've seen that to be very effective working with local organisations. So I think that's pretty manageable. And I think especially local groups at community level, they want to see the practical benefits first. They want the more practical skills. And of course, their horizons change, like all of our horizons change as we learn more. So I think it becomes a natural process that is helped by that. I think the one about breaking silos and the learning lesson, that's a really difficult question. We'll have to have an offline discussion on that one. What is really interesting, I remember talking with somebody from the impact evaluation unit in the World Bank, and I was saying to her that one of the things I found in concern, which is really disconcerting years ago, was when we did a policy, we were coming up with policy, and we were looking at evidence, and this is getting to the heart of it. We were looking at evidence of other agencies, evidence in the literature, all of that stuff. And the discussion then became, how do we utilise that and put it into practice? But what became very clear was that people within the organisation valued the concern experience much more than external. And this gets to the heart of the difficulty of NGOs putting evidence into practice. And the woman from the World Bank impact evaluation is saying that that's kind of well known, that people do prioritise their own experience and learning over that of external agencies. And that's a real bind, I think. Hard to break it down.
Great. Laura?
Since I'm the last person between you and lunch, I'll be very brief. I think, Bernard, your question about the silos, getting a guided principles for breaking down silos for the sake of breaking down silos might be better served by picking a lens through which to do that. You know, whether it's a common function, a common goal, the motivations can come together in this silo breaking process, but I think it'll be more effective if it's focused in one way. But we're all working on it because we all think it's important, I think. And then to the very popular friend from the Caribbean, where everyone wants to comment, I think that when people do cross and multi-sectoral discussions, if it's done well, it isn't a top-down discussion. And a part of building these bottom-up community resilience approaches, it certainly depends on the information, research, and knowledge that may not come out of a formal academic setting. So I think that your point's well taken. And when it's done well, I think that it's a very even and equal playing field.
Thank you, Lauren. Well, I think there was one question which probably wasn't addressed on platform for sharing lessons and so on, which may be something that we could probably feed into the conference recommendation, that it would be important to have a resource base for sharing resilience-related resources and tools. I think with that, I mean, it has been a very rich discussion, I think very engaging. I really like to thank the audience really for your active participation and of course the panel here. So it will be difficult for us to summarize it, but thank you very much.